Think. All right. Hello, hello. I am Safriana Luna, the queer spirit guide and author of Bumble Bees and White Balloons. And that's why I wanted to go live this morning to, oh my gosh, it's not even actually morning anymore. It might be morning for you, but to actually finally read a chapter from this book since I have it in my hands. It took a little bit of time for this book to get in. Several of my readers got it before me, but that is just the nature of author copies. And I have it in my hands now. It is here, it is real. And so I wanted to share a little bit about this book with you and read the first chapter so you can get a sense of the writing style and see if maybe it is for you. So here it is. The cover looks pretty peaceful, but this is a book about tragedy. It is a book about a relationship withstanding the worst of the worst. And I'll just read the back cover description to you and then I'll jump into the chapter. So, Abby and Jordan are the queer couple who seems to have it all. Jobs they love, a storybook romance, and a safe, ethically non monogamous relationship, a beautiful home in Baltimore, and soon a baby on the way. But just as their happiness reaches an unimagined peak, they are confronted with a pandemic, medical flukes, and rampant racism. Now the edges of their perfectly woven picture of life begin to fray, unraveling thread by thread. Set against the backdrop of 2020 America, Bumblebees and White Balloons addresses many of the challenges modern families faced during such uncertain time, in addition to rarely explored concepts of pregnancy complication and loss. So, this book is not for the faint of heart. I do have a content warning in the beginning of the book that really gets into some of the warnings for what to expect there. But I really try to handle things very gently. So the first section of the book is life, and we start with chapter one, contemplation. An act of considering something with great attention. See also a state of mystical awareness. That is the definition of contemplation. And this chapter is told from Jordan's perspective, one of the main characters. It wasn't stars that twinkled, casting a halo behind Abby's head. It was Christmas lights, thousands of brightly dancing Christmas lights. Hamden's Miracle on 34th Street was rumored to be one of the most incredible residential Christmas displays in America. Rumored no more. Now that they were there, it was living up to its reputation and beyond. There were thousands of festive decorations casting their colors, blinking, twinkling, glittering. It was basically Abbey in event form. Cheerful, beautiful, luminous, loud. Jordan felt toasty despite the cold air around them, and it was all because of their wife's enthusiastic grin. She was standing atop a segment of brick barrier, pointing at something in the distance. It was in these sorts of moments Jordan knew no matter what happened, Abby and them would be two little old queers one day, holding hands and drinking hot cocoa around the fireplace. They got a little wistful thinking about it, but that was why they'd written the invitation in the lesbian book last night for Abby to find in the morning. Whenever there was a new message, Abigail or Jordan would leave the worn pleather volume sitting on the windowsill in the kitchen right near the coffee maker. It was the perfect place for nonverbal communication, they'd agreed. December 15th, 2019. You're the kind of girl who cares an unfathomable, see, I can write that word even if I can't say it, amount about decoration. I admire that about you. So for date night, I can't wait to see the Miracle on 34th Street decorations with you. Find your favorite oversized sweater or two. It's supposed to be a bit chilly. I'll pack a backpack with snacks and we can walk the avenue until it's late, maybe swing by Atomic Books or grab dinner from Foraged. I'll get you an early Christmas gift, okay? Come kiss me when you see this. Signed, Jory. Abigail had listened to the instructive, bounding into the bedroom to wake Jordan with an enthusiastic morning kiss. And now Abby was reaching down for Jordan, making a grabby hand with her mitten. Laughing, Jordan pulled themselves onto the bricks, tugging Abby in for yet another smooch. Their breath swelled between them, a foggy white as the chill took it away. This is the best date ever, Abby murmured against Jordan's lips. I'm so glad you convinced me to move here. It was their first year in Hamden, a subsect of Baltimore characterized by a diverse crowd, a variety of kitschy shops, and several great restaurants. For Jordan, the best part of all was their ability to take a bus to work, arriving in only a few minutes. Well, that wasn't true. The best part was the way Abby lit up like a field of fireflies at the street festivals. The second was the ability to walk less than 5 minutes to buy a new paperback from Atomic Book anytime they liked. From atop the brick wall, Jordan could better make out the distant sights. Towering above Abby by a good 8 inches, Jordan liked to tease their wife for all the things she missed. Oh, I think I see Santa taking off. Too bad you're too short to see, they said. Abby smacked Jordan's arm playfully. You do not. You're right, but I'm about to take off. Jordan leaped down onto the street, took one look back at Abby, and bolted. Without another look back, they ran down the street towards the heart of the lights and the sound of someone belting out Christmas ballads like never heard before. The owner of the soprano voice had some serious pipes, but not as serious as Abby. Abigail made a wailing sort of sound behind them, which cut through the air, then pursued, screeching with laughter. Why do you do this to me, you athletic bitch? She yelled. Jordan, cackling, slowed their jog and waited for Abby to catch up. You're incredible at being loud, you know, Jordan said. Mm-hmm. You like me that way. In bed. They rolled their eyes but couldn't disagree. All smiles, the two linked arms as they began their stroll down 34th Street, surrounded by hundreds of other people friends, families, adults, and children. Not only was the crowd impressive, but the party was on. A figure dressed in a Grinch costume was the one singing, and someone was handing out cookies. It was truly breathtaking. Giant inflatable snowmen and snow globes, trains set whirring to life, blinding angels, a tree made of hubcaps, every window, door, and roof lined with light upon light upon light. It was almost hard to look at, but that was all right. Jordan would much rather watch Abby's reactions anyway. Beaming and rosy cheeked, their wife was even more joyous than the decor. Abby looked like she might faint from all the excitement. Her body vibrated with enthusiasm. Her pale skin glowed with the colors of the street. Jordan loved the way the ambient lights always seemed to bring out the jewel tones in Abby's face, sometimes casting peach, others nearly blue. Of course, Jordan had been taken by Abigail's features from the moment they met, enamored with the way her eyelashes were a smidge too long to appear natural, the way her thick brows perfectly framed her round face, and the way her abundance of soft curves could hardly hide in any outfit, including the oversized sweaters she liked to wear so much. It was hard to believe they'd been together for over 2 years now and married for one. Their first date hadn't been a date at all, but rather a 3 hour conversation in the teacher's lounge at the high school where Abby taught. Jordan had presented in a school wide career workshop teaching the kids about their job and social work and the variety of things one could do with such a degree. When Abigail had walked into her classroom and spotted Jordan, she actually bit her lip. But as soon as she'd realized what she was doing and the fact that Jordan was staring right at her, she'd stopped, blushed furiously crimson, and bolted to her desk to pretend to organize files. They'd been inseparable since. Abby released Jordan's hand suddenly to take off running again. Hey, I thought I was the athletic bitch, they called after her, reorienting present to see what Abby was up to. She had stopped in front of the houses with a window display. From a distance, it was eye catching with a unique gold and black color scheme. Wandering over, Jordan leaned in to see what Abby was seeing. Ooh, Jory, Abby breathed. Look at that bumblebee. You normally don't like bugs, Jordan said, but stooped down anyway to see what she was talking about. The tree inside was artificial, colored perfectly black. Golden garlands and yellow bulbs spiraled around the branches, and on top, rather than a traditional star or angel, was a crown in hues to match the rest of the decor. There were crystal teardrop ornaments with metallic sheens, a few smaller crowns, and then on the front, an adorable hand painted bumblebee ornament. It's, Jordan began. Beautiful, they said together. Giggling, they swooped in for a kiss, colliding clumsily, which only served to produce more laughter. After exchanging a brisk smooch, Abby leaned in again to look at the delicate ornament. Abby covered her mouth suddenly, looking up at Jordan with wet eyes. It's so cute. Her voice broke unconventionally quiet. Why are you crying over this bumblebee? Jordan asked, surprised by the sudden emotion radiating from their wife. I don't know. There's something beautiful about this display, personal, you know? I wonder what the story is. Jordan's brow furrowed, studying Abigail's reaction. Yeah? Hey, you okay, Babby? There was a moment of silence between them. The street entertainers carried on, crowded with people walking and cars rumbling in the distance, trying to find a place to park and enjoy the evening. Lights reflected off the dampness on Abby's cheeks, making her a holiday display all the more. I've been thinking, Abby began, then stopped. Thinking about. Jordan watched every micro movement of Abby's face, the flickers of uncertainty, fear, hope, each transformation so easy to read. Jordan knew Abby like the back of their own hand. No, better than that. No cliche could encompass it, no stereotype either. What is it, sweetheart? Jordan reached up to cup Abby's cheek, turning her toward them. Their deep bronze fingers made a stark contrast against Abby's now ashen face. Jordan smoothed the palm of their fingerless gloves against Abby's skin, attempting to create some warmth. I know this is probably crazy, but I've been thinking about having a baby. Mom said the best Christmas present ever would be a grandchild, and I guess I've really been taking that in. Having a baby with you would be exciting. I can't imagine anyone else I'd rather raise a child with, you know? I'm sort of lacking in the parts to do that for you, Abs, Jordan replied. She winced, visibly stung when Jordan mentioned not having the parts to impregnate her. Abby looked so vulnerable, an unusual apprehension contouring her features. Her eyes, lit by the nearby decorations, betrayed the intensity of her emotions as plainly as words ever could. Hesitating, Abby finally said, I know. Obviously, I talked to Josh. He said he'd be willing to be a donor. At the mention of Josh, Jordan felt the hairs on the back of their neck raise. This was surprising coming from Abigail. Honestly, more than surprising. When did you talk to Josh about this? Their bristling wasn't about Josh at all. Their asexual, aromantic best friend was anything but a threat to their relationship or stability. But the fact that Abby had been thinking about this recently without any indicator at all was where the shock really settled in. Back around Thanksgiving, when Mom mentioned really wanting a grandchild, Abby said. Mom again. There it was. Jordan felt the sting before they registered the thought. That woman was nails on a chalkboard level grating. She had a way of twisting Abigail's heartstrings into a bundle of knots only Jordan could be left to untangle. Regularly. Every phone call, every visit, Abigail was left in a panic, trying to figure out how to impress her mother. The pressure on Abigail was unbearable alone, and the fact that Jordan in no way fit into Margie's vision for her daughter was just about too much to tolerate. But tolerate they did for Abigail. Abigail alone. They could understand her perspective to a degree. Margie had helped Abby go to college. She'd encouraged Abby to pursue a future she wanted in spite of all of her radical choices. She had also helped fund the wedding and showed up like a rock star mother on the actual day, ensuring everything Abby needed to be the bride of her dreams was possible. So, she'd been thinking about this for nearly a month and not brought it up. Jordan could feel their own concerns clawing at the back of their skull, but they didn't want to make this about them. The last thing Jordan wanted was to seem unsupportive. Abby had so little support in her life before Jordan, it nearly shattered them to even think of resisting one of her ideas. As a result, though, sometimes all Jordan could do was accept Abby's flow and go along with the current. She was a force, a tempest sometimes, but they weren't going to be the one to quell that storm. So you've really been thinking about this, huh? Jordan said. They looped their other arm around Abby and began stroking her back. How serious are you? Serious enough that if you gave me the thumbs up, I have a turkey baster and a specimen cup for Josh back at the house already waiting. Jordan pulled back, walking a few paces away. Their fingers found the hem of their thick dad sweater and began kneading the neckline for comfort. Okay, okay. Their mind was an absolute swirl, images flashing rapidly from Abby pregnant to the two of them with a small child decorating a Christmas tree in their house. Jordan knew they would make excellent, if such a thing existed, parents. Jordan worked with kids at the Child Life Center at Johns Hopkins, and Abby worked with teens in high school. They had a nice townhouse, were financially stable, and well, without kids, they had just about everything a couple could want. One of the joys of being two queer people with uteruses? No surprise pregnancies. But even though they hadn't taken the steps to make it happen yet, this whole ordeal somehow felt like finding out your spouse was unexpectedly pregnant. At least the baby would look somewhat like them, Jordan reflected. Both Jordan and Josh were tall, lean, black, and had distinctive jawlines, a particular feature Abby was certain to point out regularly. How do you both have such great jawlines? The singular time the two had talked about the possibility of one day having a baby, they'd agreed to look for a donor that resembled Jordan. Josh was admittedly the perfect fit for that. At least Abby had thought that far. Now Jordan was only grappling with the sadness of being kept out of the loop this long. Why wouldn't she bring it up? It was an uncertainty that gnawed at their gut with eager teeth. Yet there was something almost poetic with the way this had all come out, a sort of synchronicity. Abby's tears glistening like the lights all around, the reflections playing off the window as they looked in at the bumblebee. The beauty of this holiday season, the chill, the way their words condensed in the air and rose, carrying wishes to the heavens. Jordan could feel something fluttering in the base of their gut, the sort of tug that seemed to say, go with it. This was part of them that loved Abby so much they'd throw themselves in front of a bullet. Cliche, but 100% true. But that was only one part of it. Another part wanted to make a big fucking deal out of this. That other part was deep, ancestral, furious. It flared with the recognition that something had been kept from them, that age old nagging sense of not being good enough, of not having a place at the table when decisions seemed to be made about their lives. Was Abby doing that here, leaving them out? But Josh, his skin just as dark as theirs, had been in the loop. So could it really be that at all? Looking down at their hands, spread open like starfish, Jordan studied the particular hue of their last two knuckles, sticking out of their cut off gloves. The underside of their fingers, their palms, almost matched Abby's shoulders after a week at the beach. For a fleeting second, Jordan could imagine these two were equal in all ways, equally privileged. But as soon as their hands turned over, the sight of the shade of their skin was a harsh, inescapable reality. But Abby and Jordan were above all that, right? Always good enough for each other. Abby didn't care about the color of their skin. She cared that they were making a life together, an almost perfect sort of life that gave a big middle finger to what median America seemed to think was right or proper. After all, this was the woman who had completely laughed in the face of her parents' insistence that she skip college, settle down with a nice white man, be a homemaker, and birth a couple of kids. If the only part of that vision Abby ultimately owned was the kids' part, at least one, Jordan could live with that. Well, Abigail was staring up at Jordan expectantly, her eyes grayer in this light than blue. Looking at her had a tendency to make Jordan second guess anything going on in their head, at least if that thing was negative. I still want to get dinner from Foraged. And what about your Christmas book? They asked. Does that mean. Jordan sighed, lifting a hand to press against their forehead. The sigh blossomed into a laugh, and they felt that sense of synchronicity again. This was crazy. It was rash, sudden, and exactly the sort of thing that could change their lives forever. It was exactly the sort of thing to expect from Abby. Anything other than the expected. But they were an unstoppable force, a power couple. They were queer and unafraid, bold, had jobs they loved, wonderful friends, and Abby's other partner who supported them in every way possible. And besides, it was an unlikely shot, right? People didn't often get pregnant on the first try, did they? Jordan could think about this in more detail later. So help them God, though, Abigail's mother Margie was the bane of their black butch boy non binary existence, and if this was solely because of her. Just tell me, Jordan said, stopping on the sidewalk and reaching a hand out for Abby to take. Just tell me 100% for sure that this is what you want. This is what I want, Abby said, her eyes little lakes. I want to have a baby with you, Jory. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking, but if Josh is willing to come spank it into a cup, I'm willing to have a good old time with the turkey baster. They flashed the most convincing grin they could, nodded once, then said, All right, let's do it. So that was chapter 1 of Bumblebees and White Balloons, my debut fiction novel. And if you'd like to get a copy, it's currently exclusively on Amazon, or you can order a copy directly from me if you want a signed copy, and I'm happy to throw in some stickers for you as well. But I am just so proud of this book. It's a dream come true for me, and I was holding this in my hands last night, and in the dedications, the special acknowledgments, I acknowledged myself. And I want to point this out because every author should have this moment that you land here. You land in your dream, you land in your truth, you land in your power, you land in your voice, you land in your visibility. And so I wrote to myself for showing up to do the work. Way to go, you. You've wanted to have your very own published book in your hands since second grade, and that moment has arrived. Congratulations, and I can't wait to see what you're going to write next. So this is for me. This is for you. This is for anyone who has had a dream that didn't work out. Really, this is a tremendous group effort. Thank you to Jess Farrell of House of Indigo Publishing for making this possible. Thank you to all of my readers, to my beta readers, my alpha readers, Justin for helping me make everything possible through layout, to my cover designer, Della Borca, literally to everyone that made this possible. And to me for actually showing up and writing the darn thing. So thank you for your support. I hope that you enjoy the full book if you have a chance to read it. And much love to you.